Hello, I'm Jay Lyman, Senior Analyst with 451 Research, now part of S&P Global Market Intelligence, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Donald Smith, Senior Director of Java SE Product Management at Oracle. Thanks for being here, Donald.
It's great to be here, Jay.
Today, we're going to be talking about security and compliance in the enterprise. And we'll start off by discussing the priority that companies place on security and compliance, and how this is a big part of the DevSecOps trend, whereby security elements are integrated into software development and deployment processes. Donald, what can you tell me about what you're seeing in terms of organizations integrating security tooling into their software releases?
Over the last few years in particular, we've seen a big shift into continuous integration and continuous deployment of applications. We've moved away from the big stacks and releasing software through waterfall, and now it's all about constant iteration and constant deployment. And one of the things that comes along with that is not only do you have to make sure your tooling and your processes are looking for security related issues and concerns, but you also have to be constantly looking for stability concerns and performance concerns.
Another big driver of the DevSecOps trend is the idea that security is tied very much to quality, right? And quality is something that developers care about, right? They're less likely to say, that's going to slow me down, as they often do with security. So that's one of the drivers. But it is definitely a pretty marked change in the industry. And the idea that, security slows us down is sort of giving way to the idea that security is tied to quality and stability and performance. And we also see, the sort of cadence of, incidents and, security black eyes reminds everyone of the need to reduce risk.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's one thing to look at your software solutions as, okay, if somebody hacks in, we're going to have a data leak. That would be bad. If you have an online commerce platform, having somebody just simply able to crash your platform at will can be very detrimental as well. So it's not about the classic security. We need to provide defense. It's also about protecting the platform from going down, robustness, and maintaining performance. Because if you get a spike in demand, you want your system to be able to respond to that. It's absolutely critical. So as you put it succinctly, quality, super important.
We do see enterprises pretty broadly and prominently using open source software, but we also see them seeking paid commercial software services and subscriptions, particularly as they deal with security and compliance regulations, like HIPAA, PCI, GDPR. All of these regulations sort of require this greater security focus, and oftentimes, again, that sort of paid subscription software. What do you see as the role of that in helping organizations achieve their objectives in terms of security and compliance?
Yeah, so it's clear that that there's a lot of industries that have compliance and regulation obligations that require them to have the most secure platform that they can possibly provide, and that means having a commercial support agreement or some way of being able to provide your own support if you want to go that route. And one of the key drivers there is organizations want flexibility. So they want to be able to decide what version of software they're running, but be able to run the most secure, the most stable, the most performant update of that particular version. So they want to have lots of flexibility to perhaps stay on a legacy release of some legacy platform that they have in production. They want to keep it running. They still need to be compliant with all the industry regulations that they're obligated to, and have the ability to move up and migrate to more modern versions and features if and when that opportunity arises.
Our research shows that even though a growing number of organizations are integrating security into software releases, silos can persist, right? We see a significant number of organizations where the DevOps team and the IT security team are working on these DevSecOps requirements independently. I'd love to hear how you see organizations sort of, addressing some of these challenges, breaking down some of those silos, and sort of taking that more holistic approach to security that we've been discussing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, every enterprise is different, right? And so, what I generally see, if I had to generalize what my observations are, is there's kind of three drivers in most enterprises when it comes to their software stacks that they use for application development. So there's usually the business side, the C levels. They generally have one ambition, and that's to keep costs as low as possible. You have developers who want to use the best possible technology. They want to be as productive as possible. They want to deliver value to their organizations, right? That's what the developers want to do. But there's often this third function, which in a lot of organizations could be a CSO office. It could be a corporate architecture office. Sometimes DevOps, as you noted, might be closer to the developer organization. It may be closer to the business organization, or it may be kind of separate in its completely independent function, right? So those are the three groups that I generally see and run into, or that's how my mental model works. And so, we have a product for Java application developers, which is the Oracle Java SE subscription. And we're constantly thinking about the value we deliver with that in terms of those three buckets, right? So from the business side, we try to keep costs as low as possible. So it's a subscription model. You license just and only what you need for only as long as you need it. So it's very cost attractive. On the developer side, it gives developers access to the latest releases, so they're always able to use the latest and greatest and coolest. But it also gives them updates for the legacy releases. So if they have a reason to be running a 10 or 15-year-old version of Java, or they have an old library that requires them to still be running something from the last decade, by being a subscriber, they'll have access to that. And the CSO office is happy because now they're not constantly going to have to be trading off risk reward of those dependencies. So when a developer says, well, we're still running Java, let's use an example, we're still running Java 7 because of this library, the CSO can say, great, we're a subscriber, we can still get those security and stability and performance updates. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you bring up a couple of key things there. One being, the critical need to stay upgraded and current, right? We see a lot of security issues that come from older versions of software being around. And so being able to manage that is key. And then the other thing is the stakeholders, right? We're not just talking about software developers. We're not just talking about IT operations teams or these specialized DevOps teams. We're really talking about the traditional IT admins that exist within the organization. Certainly the security team hopefully is involved in your DevSecOps efforts. But you see other stakeholders, right? Database managers, data analytics teams, line of business and product managers, sometimes even sales and marketing folks. So there's sort of a wide swath of people involved. And while you can't involve everyone, the more you can spread that collaboration, the better off you'll be.
You mentioned IT administrators. I mean, that's another part. I would put them maybe in the corporate architecture mental model that I have. They want to be able to track where software is being used in their organization, and they want to know, what applications we have running, where is it running, what versions of the software is it running. And that's something else that we offer on the subscription front with the Java management service. And we have another feature for desktop management, Advanced Management Console, which helps those IT departments track and audit what they're running and take action based on what they find.
Right, and that really centers on a lot of this is about that balance between the flexibility and giving developers the tools that they want to work with, but at the same time, making sure that this is blessed and sanctioned by the organization, and of course, secure and compliant.
It's a tale as old as software development, right? We have dependencies, we get them in production, We have an application running in production. It satisfies a need. Why can't we just leave it alone? Right? It's the need to constantly have to update is a pain. Developers really struggle with it because we know that if we update between a major release, there are likely going to be some challenges, right? And if we can just get the security update or the stability update or the performance update that is well tested against the libraries that we're using, and we know we don't want new features, we don't want new functionality. We just want to take advantage of those very specific things as seamlessly as possible. That's high value. That's what we want. And that's the kind of thing we deliver.
So the two of us could probably talk about this all day, but we are out of time for this discussion. But thanks very much, Donald, for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Jay. That was great. If anyone wants to continue the conversation, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. It's Donald OJDK.
And for more information on our research and analysis, you can find that at 451research.com.